Where does the DF team see Microsoft in 15 years? No more hardware, games as a service, plus tiers for performance levels on the cloud? Sounds a bit nightmarish from everything I'm reading so far. Will I have access to digital games that I bought, or have I bought a license that can be revoked? Do they need to do more with the Play Anywhere approach? My purchasing habits on the Xbox Store are starting to be based on it, as I know I will have a PC version as well. Why isn't the Master Chief Collection part of it? Interesting question, right? Because I think we're looking at a transition period for Microsoft / Xbox, and I am curious how that's going to work out in the longer term. And I do think just generally across the industry, I think consoles are always going to be there. I question whether anybody other than Nintendo will have one, though. Let's try and project ourselves into the future here. Microsoft's transition period is over. The platform is something quite different to what we know of it right now. What does it look like? What do we want it to look like, Oliver?
15 years. I mean,
you might as well say 5 or 10. It's much the same, I think.
You might as well say 60 years. I don't know. I can't predict that far, especially with machine learning and the changing fortunes of console hardware and the economics of game development. And I think you can observe trends maybe 5 years or 10 years at most. I mean, 15 years is so long. But if I had to guess, I think it probably does involve some homogenization of their platforms into one platform. Maybe that you're buying a Microsoft game and not a Windows, Xbox, or cloud game. And maybe in the future that also includes other console platforms like PlayStation. Who knows? I think if they had a very successful console outing, maybe their goals would be a little bit more focused on that. But I think there probably is some degree of homogenization and to try to bring their platforms together. But yeah, I think there are a lot of questions about where game development goes in the next 5 to 10 years. I think that some things probably change in terms of the way that games are budgeted, in terms of the way that machine learning plays into that. But I also think that Microsoft is in a good position, just speaking abstractly, because they have gigantic R&D budgets. They're one of the most valuable companies in the world. They have all kinds of technologies, I'm sure, that are in the works. And I tend to think that they're well positioned. If you look at the progress of technology and where they are positioned with Windows, where they're positioned with most of their products, frankly, I think they're really in a good state to take advantage of those technologies. And presumably those technologies do have a large gaming application on the production side, and then also in terms of what you can do in real time. I think that's probably true. So I think that the future is to bring all their various brands for gaming under one roof, and to deliver that to people in a format that is a little bit more straightforward than the format that they're currently being served in. But beyond that, I mean, I don't know. 15 years is so long. I don't know what 15 years looks like anymore. I don't know what that looks like.
John?
Yeah, same. That's such a difficult thing to answer, right? But I mean, I assume by that point Microsoft will have become, more unified with this, where it's like Xbox is no longer a thing in the way that it is now, and it will have essentially become part of the PC platform. And assuming things go to plan, they will basically just be one of the biggest, if not the biggest publisher in the world, releasing software all over the place. But I do think development practices are going to have to start to shift at some point, because games are just taking too long to make now, too much money invested. It's just, the current trajectory feels unsustainable. And I'm curious if we'll actually see a shift.
Well, the path to sustainability is to basically make the game available everywhere, or as close to everywhere as you can. I'm sure that the problem is that only just postpones the inevitable.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. So it's man, these types of questions are so difficult to answer.
Well, I think they're committed to the next console generation. We can assume the same from PlayStation, right? So, that takes us well into the next 10 years. The question is what they're going to do with the platform itself. And, obviously the stuff that we're talking about continuously, it seems, about some kind of merging with Windows, or at least some sort of way for the Xbox platform to sit alongside Steam everywhere on a plethora of PC hardware. It seems to be the route forward. The question is really where your existing digital library ends up. Is it just going to be on consoles? is there some sort of way to bypass any potential licensing issues and move your Xbox console library onto PC? Don't know about that. Love to see it. I do think there needs to be a cleaning up and a homogenization of the platform, because, you know, why isn't the Master Collection play anywhere? It doesn't make sense. Master Chief Collection doesn't really make sense, right? It should be standardized across the whole Xbox platform. Yeah, I do think that the concept of actually owning a game digitally is something that might be tested at some point in the next 15 years. But I think that ultimately the concept that you buy a license that can be revoked will probably be tested at the sort of state level, even the EU level. And I think there'll probably be some sort of settlement there that makes it possible or impossible for them to do revocations. I think that's my take on it. The EU seems to be getting awfully involved in gaming relative to what's happened in the past, and as are the sort of anti-competitive agencies that are sort of looking at all of this stuff. I think Xbox is going to be about, simply by virtue of the fact that, you know, it's Microsoft and they are effectively at this point surely the world's biggest games publisher, just by virtue of the fact that they've got so many games and studios and things like Activision. So yeah, that's kind of my sort of reading of the tea leaves. Potentially exciting. I just question the future of the console within a sort of 2-decade time span. We're already seeing how difficult it is to make new consoles that are not actually quite expensive. I think that situation isn't going to improve.